So, welcome everyone to this webinar. As the title says, is about syncing your HubSpot and Dynamics ERP in 3 simple steps. So, if you're here, you probably have either currently a connection with Dynamics ERP. It's maybe going well, or maybe not. Maybe you need some improvements. Maybe you have some struggle mapping your custom objects or something, or maybe you don't have anything and you're just trying to explore ways to do it. So this is what brought us here today. We will show you how you can optimize and efficiently connect those 2 systems. So first of all, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Lisa. I'm a HubSpot consultant at Talox. I'm also a certified HubSpot trainer. I've been working in marketing for a while now. And I come, as I said, from Talox. So Talox is a gold HubSpot partner, and we take care about the whole thing with regards to HubSpot. So migrating from an old or a previous CRM like Salesforce to HubSpot, implementing it, as well as strategic consulting for sales, marketing, service, and training. So everything that you can think of about HubSpot. And the reason why we partner up with Rapidi for this webinar is that we are always looking for new ways to optimize the current processes that our audience has. And there's a lot of people and customers who have integrations with third-party tools. Maybe it's a CRM, or maybe it's an ERP. So we are trying always to bring new ways to efficiently optimize those integrations to make sure that you have the best which there is in the market on your current integration. So what you should expect today in this webinar for the next 30 minutes, we will show you HubSpot integrations with Rapidi. So Rapidi is the solution we are presenting today. So don't look at it as a sales pitch or anything. That's nothing like that. This is straight up to show you how you can optimize your current integration or the integration you might be doing in the future. All right. So there are some standard functionalities, but there's ways to improve that. And that's what we are showing you today. So then how to sync HubSpot Dynamics in 3 simple steps, setting it up in HubSpot, and why does that matter, and what impacts we will have in your specific business case. And then we will save some time for a Q&A session. But as I said in the beginning, feel free to drop your questions already in the chat, and then we will save 10 minutes or so to answer them. All right, so with that being said, I will hand things over to Andrea.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name is Andrea. I'm a data integration consultant at Rapidi. So I've been in this world since 2017. So it's been a while. I do focus on integrations, but at the same time, I'm island based and I love sunsets and I just love going to the beach. Now, speaking of Rapidi, we do want to help companies to make sure that they connect their systems and that they can get everything working. So you can have ERP, CRMs, other systems, but if they're not connected, if they're not talking to each other, then you don't really use them, right? Because you cannot get value out of those systems. So what we do, we design, we implement, and then we run reliable integrations. In most cases, we do have pre-built integrations because we want to save your time. In the end, what we do, we sync data back and forth between the systems. So then all teams get the data that they need. So sales data, operations, and finance. Now I'll go next. So here I will talk a bit about Rapidi and HubSpot integrations. So we have here a few categories that we've put together just to briefly explain what we do. So when it comes to ERPs and HubSpot integrations, we do have what we called the HubSpot ready templates. What this means is that we have those pre-configured mappings, and those are complete and can be used by any companies. So this matters because then it will save your time, and then the project will last, let's say, a few weeks instead of months or years, and then you get value out of your integration fast. And then the second point is about the fact that you would have this a real ERP and HubSpot sync. And we wanted to focus here on the fact that we have native support for Dynamics. So Business Central, Finance, older Navision versions, SQL, or any other ERP that you might use. So we have great support for those systems, and we can ensure that data is sent back and forth. And of course, this matters because then everything will be in sync. So everything you have in your ERP will also be visible in HubSpot or the other way around. So it depends how you want to see your data. And then another very important point would be the object coverage and custom models. So in some cases, we see standard integrations, right? So we see companies that just want to transfer data such as, customers, contacts, and all that. But we also see situations where customers have custom objects or custom fields, so they have something very different. So we do cover both because we want to ensure that your integration, no matter if it's standard or custom, will work accordingly. And then what this means for companies is that there's no coding required. So there's nothing you need to do on your end because we do have support built for them. And then we can adapt to any custom objects, properties in HubSpot, or tables in the Dynamics ERPs. And then another important point is about the integration model. So as we know, on the Dynamics side, you can see cloud ERPs, you can see also on-premise, right? So on-premise, you would see older versions. So we are able to connect to both of them. So if it's cloud, we all know it's very easy to connect to that, get all the data in, and then you have your integration up and running. With on-premise systems, it's a bit more difficult, but we do have all the support built for that so that you don't need to do any extra work. So let's say if you have an older, let's say Navision version, or just you have your Business Central on premise, we can connect to that without any type of issue. So this means that your work or your effort will be low throughout the project and the integration. And then last but not least, we are talking about support. So whenever you work with someone from Rapidi on your integration, you get integration specialists. So you have someone that can guide you through the process, provide you with support, answer questions. And then, for example, if you have an integration running and we think we can optimize it, we also do that if we think that it needs to be done. So you do get guidance throughout the process. And then also, as soon as you go live, for example, you have your integration up and running, you do get support afterwards. So if you run into issues, something is happening with your integration, then you would be able to reach out to our support team and get answers fast. So I'm referring to, specialized resources that can give you the answers that you need. So that would be able to explain what the issue is and what you need to do to fix it. So that would be more or less about this part. Now, let's talk a bit about, how to sync HubSpot and Dynamics ERPs in 3 steps. So the first step, which is extremely important, so you have to define the goals, like what you want to do. So how you want to send data, is it back and forth? You just have very specific processes. So everything has to be covered here. Then we are talking about source and target systems. You can say, okay, the source would be finance and then target would be HubSpot. And then the objects that you want to include. Do you have standard objects? Are you using custom ones? So everything that has to do with your setup. And after you are done with step number 1, then you will have a clear integration brief, and then you are set for success, so to speak, because you know exactly what needs to happen on this integration. Now, after you are done with that, we go to step number 2, which is really important as well. So here is where you design and build. When it comes to design and build, the first thing that happens would be the connection setup. So connecting to your ERP and then connecting to HubSpot. These are very easy steps. So they do not require any extra effort in any of those cases. And then apart from the connection, we are talking about mappings, rules, and error handling. Now, as I mentioned before, we do use the pre-built mapping templates. So those were built for this specific reason, to actually move forward and be able to start testing as soon as possible. So while you are in this specific phase, when you're designing and building, you can simply use the mapping templates as they are and adjust them according to your needs. So you save a lot of time on that, and you don't need to go back and build everything from scratch and think, oh, what do I map here? What do I add? And everything like that. So you definitely are in that phase where you would have the mappings completed right away, and then you just go straight to testing. So as soon as you are done with this phase, then what it means that you will have working data flows. So they will be working and ready in a test environment, of course, and then you will be able to have a test plan for your integration. And then we have the third step, which is validate and operate. So the idea is that when you build the integration, you do have to go through testing. You do want to make sure that everything runs okay and that you get the desired results. So you'll have end-to-end testing. So you can test, let's say, edge cases, for example. Maybe you have very specific processes within the company. Those will need to be tested so then everything goes well. And then as soon as you're happy with the testing, then you have go live. So you go and run everything into the live environment, and afterwards you'll have monitoring. So of course, post go live, everything will be monitored also by the Rapidi team, just to ensure that everything goes well. And then in the end, you get go live, a complete go live in the production environment, and monitoring so that your data will be transferred correctly to any of those systems. So these are the steps that you will need to go through. And I think the second step is the one that's the longest usually. But in our case, we want to speed things up. So we do use the mapping templates that can be applied and can be adjusted. So then in the end, you, instead of spending months or a year on an integration, you can spend a couple of weeks and then you are done. So that was that. Now I will share my screen because I want to show you a few things in HubSpot. Okay. So for example, I have this customer. So this customer has been created in my ERP first. But of course, I want it to be in HubSpot as well. So what I did, I just transferred the customer via the pre-built mapping templates that we have. Now, as you can see, you can transfer anything. So any information about the customer, address, any, let's say, number of employees, any type of information. One thing that we usually add would also be the customer number that's coming from your ERP. As we know, in any ERP, you would have a specific customer number that's being assigned to a new entry. So as soon as you create a new customer number, you get a new number that's unique. So what do we do when there's a new customer in the ERP? We send that all that information over to HubSpot, and then we record that customer number so you have that reference here. Of course, you can send any data from your ERP to HubSpot. So if you have any other custom fields that are on the customer page, you can send those here and they will be visible on the company page. Now, when it comes to customers, so we have the customer created, and then I also want to have the contacts created, right? So usually in your ERP, you would create contacts. So persons, the ones that are associated with this company. So whenever you need to have contacts in your HubSpot, then what we do, we synchronize that data. And then all contacts or updated ones will show up in HubSpot, and they will be associated with that particular company. So this gives you a clear overview of your customers and their contacts. And for example, if any changes were made on a specific contact, for example, the email address has been changed, then that will be brought over into HubSpot. So you have all the information that you need. This process can go back and forth. So it can go from your ERP to HubSpot and then the other way around. Next, what you'll see, deals. So deals, they are usually in HubSpot. So for example, this one here. So this is a deal that's created in HubSpot, and then as soon as you think it's ready and it has been closed, then you can push this into your ERP and have a new sales order. So that would be the standard process. Of course, if you have something different, then the integration can be set up in that specific way. Now, when the deal has been closed won, so this is the trigger for Rapidi to know that, okay, I need to create a new sales order into my ERP. So then that gets created with all the information from HubSpot, and here where you'll see the sales order number. So as soon as the deal and its lines are being created in the ERP as a sales order, then we are writing back the sales order number that belongs to that deal. So this is a way to reference your orders and the deals which have been closed. So this is a way to actually do that. And then if we go back to the customer here, then we have other things. So we have the deals, and then what we can see, we have the sales orders. So another process that we see is that companies want to send sales orders from the ERP to HubSpot. So meaning those sales orders which have been released. So they also want to see them here. Now, those are being sent with all their data into HubSpot and associated with that specific customer. So whenever there's a new order that has been released, for example, you can have that listed here under that specific company. And the list will always be updated with new orders. And then if we scroll down, we have the same thing for posted invoices. Another, let's say, common scenario that we see is the one where companies want to send posted invoices from the ERP to HubSpot. So then you can do that via the integration. So send everything into HubSpot and associate those with that specific company. So let's say tomorrow you'll have 10 posted invoices. Those will be synchronized and they will be added to the list that you see here on this company page. So you can transfer any data from your ERP to HubSpot or the other way around, and they will be associated. And then on every company page or customer page, you will see all transactions. So you will be able to see the deals and their referenced sales orders. You would see the orders from your ERP. You can see the posted invoices or any other data that you really want to have here in HubSpot. Of course, your layout, the company layout here can be changed, and then you can add more data in here. But in the end, data can be transferred back and forth and can be visible on that specific company page without any type of issues. Go to this one here, and then, okay, let's see. Now, we talked about integrations and how to do it and, which are the steps that we will need to go through. But I think we also need to highlight why this is important for sales and finance teams. So first of all, when we talk about the sales teams, they will be able to sell smarter because they will have real-time access to their data. So they will be able to see in HubSpot orders, invoices, inventory, for example. And then they will be able to quote faster because you have all your data, everything is up to date, everything is in sync. So you should be able to be more focused on your quotes and be more productive. And another important aspect is that you have automations in place. So for example, we had the deal to order process. this can be automated. So then you don't need to have the deal created in HubSpot, process it, close it, and then go to the ERP and do the same. So you have this automation, and then the sales teams, they just have to check the order, and that's it. So there's like no manual intervention here. And a very important aspect then is the fact that they have complete visibility. So you can see payment statuses, you can see credit limits on customers, you can see any fulfillment updates. So everything that has to do with that specific company and their transactions. So you'll have this overview, and then you can take action accordingly. Now, when we talk about finance teams, so for them, it's really important to have accurate invoicing. So this can be ensured because you'll have this automatic sync of deals and orders into your ERP. So they don't need to worry about anything else. And then a second point would be reduced errors. So when you automate your processes, then you really don't have any manual data entry across systems. So it means that people were focused on just reviewing data or just looking at the customer overview instead of just doing this data entry every day. And another point would be faster collections. Of course, then you will be able to track the unpaid invoices and then follow up. So have this instant update on all the invoices, and you will be able to take actions. And then, of course, they will have consistent master data. So this is very important because then you'll have customers, contacts, and their billing information aligned across systems. So any customer that has been created in your ERP will also be visible in HubSpot. Any changes on that customer can be visible in HubSpot or the other way around. So then anyone who goes into the system will have this up-to-date view and will not need to ask questions about it or try to find that specific information. And I think that's it for this part. Easy.
Yes, great, Andrea. Thank you so much. We do have a couple questions here in the chat, so keep bringing up your questions if you have any. The first one comes from Catherine. Do you have any data volume limits on how many objects or fields you can transfer?
No. So on our end, we don't have any limitations. So if, for example, you have, let's say, 200 fields that you need to have mapped, those can be mapped. So, it doesn't really matter how many objects you have or fields you have. We can handle that without issues.
Okay, great. The next one comes from Matthias. Hello. Hi, Matthias. How would you prevent creating duplicated contacts in the sync from ERP?
So there are two things here. One is that we do want to have this unique ID between the systems. So what we usually do is look at what can be used as an unique ID for both systems. If we don't have anything that's unique and reliable, then we compose one. So we compose a unique ID so that we avoid duplicates. And then when it comes to contacts, I know that in HubSpot, they're also using the email address as a unique identifier. So that's like a second layer that you can use just to ensure that you don't have any duplicates. But from an integration perspective, we do focus on that and make sure that we use a unique ID. If not, like I said, compose one so that in the end, we don't have duplicates.
Okay. Matthias is also asking, does HubSpot allow for the creation and synchronization of custom data objects? For example, if we wanted to sync product groups and product items from ERP and have those linked to orders, how would you build this in HubSpot such that we could segment on orders that are linked to certain products, groups, or products? Yeah.
Yeah. So products you can sync because in HubSpot you have a separate object, right? So you can sync any product information and prices or groups. Of course, if you have if you have product groups in your ERP, you might need to do some customization on the HubSpot object because the ERP, the way it's being set up, it's a bit different from HubSpot. So You can use the product object to sync standard, I would say, product information, and then you can have custom fields if you want to have specific groups. And then when it comes to sales orders, so on any, let's say on sales orders, you would have the line items linked to them. So the line items are a reflection of products, but they're not the same thing. So you would have the parent object, which would be the sales order, and then the child will be the line items where you would see the items coming from your ERP. Yeah.
Do we need to subscribe to Data Hub, HubSpot Data Hub, or other add-ons to use this integration, Rapidi?
No, so you don't. However, if inside your HubSpot environment you have any very specific workflows or automations, then you need to use it. But for this purpose, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So this allows you to save some money on Data Hub Pro. Adam is asking, just out of curiosity, do you have any insight into how many organizations are still on-prem for their Dynamics ERP? Is it still fairly common?
It is. Yeah, definitely. I think we still work with customers that have on-prem versions, even though those are, let's say, newer versions, they are still on premise. And I still see, a quite good number of companies that still do that. So it's like, I would say 60% cloud, 40% on premise still.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think I went all through all the questions. I think I didn't miss any. So I think that's it.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Reach out to Andrea if you have any specific question, or if you like as well to have a quick demo on how you can improve, or if you want to have this, if you want Andrea to have a look at your current integration, she can give you some recommendations on how to improve it and optimize it better. And yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today, and until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.